The FM24 Early Access Beta has been out for a few days now, and we are seeing a lot of positivity around the game's new features, mechanics, and in particular the match engine. So in today's video we'll be running through one last match on FM23 and comparing it side by side with a match in the brand new game and seeing if all of that hype is to be believed. So let's get into it. On the left then we're going to see a repeat of a match that we simulated dozens of times in a test on FM23 to see which striker role was the most prolific. That is the Porto versus Braga, and on the right we're going to simulate Braga again, but this time in their first competitive fixture of the new season in FM24, which comes against Genk in a Champions League qualifier. What we'll do is comment on what we want to see less of on this side and what we really like about what we're seeing on this side, then summarise this at the end, and we'll obviously pan to the good bits as and when appropriate. So let's go. The very first thing that's jumping out at me then is the off the ball player animation in FM24. Whether a player is accelerating into position, looking to recover ground on an attacker, or trying to lose a player who's marking him, you can see that there's a lot more dynamism in the player's movement when they're anticipating the ball. You can also see that the match has got an early penalty in the FM24 game, and this is paired with what we think a brand new goalkeeper animation and an incredible save. So good marks for FM24 there. Something we're hoping to see less of from the FM23 match engine is the amount of times the ball loops up in the air. From defensive headers, deflected shots or miss-hit crosses, the default turnover in recent Football Manager games has seen a ball hang in the air for ages, and often then a keeper plucking that ball out of the air with ease. We've not seen any evidence of this being rife or even replaced in FM24 yet, but it's the fact that every goalkeeper, regardless of their reach, anticipation and handling attributes, could gather the ball untroubled, that we are hoping to see less of in the new game. In direct contrast with the penalty we've already observed in the FM24 match, we've got one being awarded and scored in the Porto Braga game on the left. Now, if you've played FM23, 22 or 21 a lot, you'll be very familiar with this goalkeeper animation here, plopping on his side and not even really extending an arm as he concedes the goal. So it's so far so good on the goalkeepers putting in a little bit more effort in on FM24. Set pieces are clearly going to be massively improved in FM24, not just in the aesthetics of the match as we can just see here on the right, but with the mechanics and tactical setup too. Our prediction is that we will all concede a butt-ton of goals from corners in the first few months of FM24, but you can bet as well that FM Immortal will do a deep dive on the best approaches to attack and defend set pieces more generally in the not too distant future. In terms of the look and feel of the match itself, we think that the lighting, shadows and surrounding stadium visuals have been ever so slightly improved. But it's not a seismic shift from what we were all otherwise very familiar with in previous installments of this game. Next year, of course, the entire graphics engine is getting a shake-up, with the company behind the Cities Skylines games coming in to sprinkle some magic dust on how FM will look. We can see though that there are some improvements to making text and visualizations bigger or clearer, and that's a testament to this year's focus on being that little bit more accessible from Sports Interactive. So you may have noticed that Braga are getting outplayed in both games, and particularly so on the left in FM23. And there's good reason for this really, as all I've done in both instances is fast track to the first competitive game of the season, without pouring much energy into the tactics nor dynamics. On the right though in FM24 we've just conceded, and we think that the positional play match mechanic that has been brought into this new game might be to blame here. So let me get into why that might be. So what you can see is as the Genk winger crosses this in, we have a back line comprised of one right back failing to stop the cross, which is fair enough. Then one centre-back marking their target man and missing the header, again fair enough, and another centre-back then plugging the gap between the right-back and the other centre-back. But it's the midfield trio that I think are letting us down by not tracking any runs from their attackers, as in my humble opinion they are trying to keep their shape more than focusing on marking because of this positional play. This leaves our poor left-back outnumbered and eventually means that Genk get the goal, All I'm saying at this point is that I'm a bit concerned what positional play will mean for defensive frustrations for FM24 players. But FM24 promised to bring truer football motion as part of their match authenticity upgrades, and we think that that is the case. Players' first touches feel more realistic, there's less pivoting on a point before pinging a 60-yard pass with no backlift from an otherwise static player, and there appears to be enhancements as well to dribbling, passing and even reactions. And we can't wait to see what kind of goals we are going to be witnessing this year. So is the hype to be believed? Well, we think that all of this on-pitch stuff is a decent upgrade, but not a game changer. The real reason to invest in FM24 is for its game engine and feature enhancements, but we will go into more detailed reviews of this game and if you should buy it now, or else wait until it's a little cheaper, in a future video on our channel. But what do you think of the match engine on FM24 in its early access beta? Have you spotted or reported any bugs, or witnessed any wonder goals already? Let us know down in the comments, and until next time my friends, adios.